The mobile gaming market has seen a decline in spending over the last year, and experts are claiming that it shows no signs of slowing down over the next several months. This is partly due to financial challenges like inflation, the cost of living, and really, oversaturation. Oversaturation is also the cause of so many incredible looking upcoming gacha games doing so poorly. The games, and subsequently the genre that made up the largest percentage of spending, might surprise you, and we will touch on that in just a little bit. Because first I want to take a moment here to thank each and every one of our incredible patrons. You guys are IRL SSR 5-star husbandos and waifus, and it is my pleasure to have all of you as part of this community. Also, consider following Mrs. Stix and I over on Twitter. I'll be doing gacha currency giveaways over there every week. After COVID scared many of us into secluding ourselves within our homes, mobile gaming saw a massive spike in not only players, but also gross earnings. As you can see on screen, courtesy of Sensor Tower, the global mobile market saw a large surge during the beginning of COVID, seeing its largest year-over-year growth in the second quarter of 2020 at 33%. This continued all the way into the first quarter of 2021, where the market saw its peak at $22.6 billion. Considering the market was at $15.1 billion a mere 2 years before, that was an increase that had never been seen up until that point, showing the power and accessibility of mobile games. Mobile games vary in quality, in genre, but one similarity they all share: 99% of them are free to play for better or worse. 2022 marked the first time in history that the mobile game genre saw a decline in revenue year over year. Players' spending has declined by over 6% since this same time last year, which is a troubling statistic to be sure, but overall spending was still in the positive comparatively to the first quarter of 2020 by almost 20%. Mid-core games went on to account for 60% of worldwide player spending in the first half of 2022, according to Sensor Tower. Mid-core games, for those of you that are unaware of what these are games that fall in between casual and hardcore games. They require a lot more time investment and typically have a higher skill ceiling, but are much more forgiving than hardcore games that don't allow for even a single miss day. The genres that held the top rankings by revenue were RPGs at number 1, accounting for almost half of the entire mid-core market, largely pushed by games like Genshin Impact, Fate Grand Order, Uma Musume, Raid Shadow Legends, and all of our favorites like Punishing Grey Raven, Azure Lane, Blue Archive, countless others. Strategy games accounted for 36% of the mid-core market, with games like Ark Knights, Evany, Clash of Clans, Plants vs. Zombies, State of Survival, and more. Casual games actually went on to make up roughly 26% of total revenue, yet account for 78% of total mobile game downloads. For reference, mid-core games, which make up roughly 60% of spending, accounts for a mere 14% of downloads, meaning casual games, while substantially lower in earnings, are significantly more popular as a genre. Mobile game earnings have seen a decline over the last 9 months, with a further decline bringing the genre to a 2.3% total fall year over year to $86 billion. Sensor Tower analysts go on to claim that while we don't know how macroeconomic and political factors will play out over the remainder of the year, and especially moving into 2023, they forecast a return to growth in 2023, with the industry reportedly raising at a 5.6% compound annual growth rate to $117 billion in 2026. One interesting point worth noting here is that while the overall genre has seen a sharp decline over the last year, that is largely targeted towards the Google Play Store, as the Apple App Store is forecast to grow from $52 billion in 2021 to $53 billion in 2022. Asia currently dominates the entire mobile market, with the cumulative total of South Korea and China accounting for over 60% of total revenue and over 40% of total downloads every single year. MMORPGs specifically have struggled outside of Asia, and we feel that, we really do. There hasn't been a single decent MMORPG release in the West in years, and the genre is hurting for it. Asian studios are aware of this and have largely shifted their attention towards other markets for new user acquisition. It is worth noting that the US did account for nearly 10% of all MMORPG installs in the first half of 2022, which is an audience increase of 5% from 2021, largely due to the success of Diablo Immortal. Are gacha games dying? Technically, yeah. There is a single-digit percentage decline in total revenue and total downloads for mobile games. By any noticeable margin? No, not at all. On the contrary, gacha games are expected to continue to increase in popularity, aiding in the growth of the mobile platform moving into 2023 and further through the decade. Yes, a lot of hyped gacha games do poorly and are incapable of retaining player retention, but that is because they're competing against larger, more popular, more polished games. And let's be honest, most of these gacha games are cash grabs with very little to offer. They're a nice little side game that you can enjoy for a couple weeks while playing your main game. Now, if you're looking for something new to play, then I got you covered with this list of the most played gacha games this year. These are the games you need to be playing because everyone else is, or alternatively, this list of gacha games that are coming out next year that look very promising.